you have a YouTube channel, or what do you do? You stream it?
We stream it, so it's going out live on YouTube. It's going out live on Facebook, and then it'll be on our website. Are we good, Rachel? Good evening. This is John Looney. I'm coming from you at the County Fair in Stampede in Helena. I'm a candidate for House District 81. We're sitting at the Red Quill Media booth. It was furnished by New Vision Thrift from downtown. They provided all the furniture here. And I'm here with the Montana AG, Austin Knudsen. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. We were walking around the fair with my family and saw you guys and just, hey, let's have a conversation.
Let's have a conversation. So basically all we have been doing is letting people come in and sit down with candidates, ask candidates questions, put them on the spot, try and figure out, you know, what they're standing for and what they're doing.
To be fair, I'm not a candidate.
Well, but I am.
So I'm asking you questions?
You can ask me anything you'd like.
Excellent.
I mean, I have a lot of questions, but we're not going to go that direction.
Hey,
so.
we can talk about whatever. I'm easy. Nothing's out of bounds with me.
What when you are talking to candidates, or there's 7 of us running over here beside us. What are some of the things that you look at when you're looking at a candidate or
so that's a great question. So I come from the legislature. When I started off, my wife Christy's sitting right here and standing right here. When we started off, we ran for House District 36 way up in northeastern Montana. That's where I'm from. I spent 8 years in the House, so I'm a legislative creature. I love the legislature. I love the House especially. I never went to that upper chamber. I stayed on the Muni. I didn't go to the country club. I always ask candidates, like, why are you doing this? What's your motivation? And this is an important question because I've been around enough candidates. I've been around enough legislators. I was the Speaker of the House a couple times. I kind of know what I speak.
So when I get asked that question, it's a pretty easy answer. I've run bills for the last 3 sessions as a business owner, as a president of the Montana Bill Agents Association. I've gone up and testified for homeschooling bills. The reason I am running is because I am tired of going up to the legislature and feeling like we have a room full of legislators sitting around a table in a committee room, and they'll listen to everybody come up and give a opponent or a proponent, and I'm here for questions. You have 1 minute, or you have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Or we have so many people in the room that just get up and say whether you're opponent or proponent. And I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that if I can fill a room with 300 years of business experience on any topic, then a legislator has a duty to ask questions and learn about that topic. And why are there so many Montanans sitting in that room arguing for or against that bill? And too many times I've sat there given a 1 minute or a 2 minute speech, and then when it comes time for the legislators to ask questions, it's crickets.
Yeah.
Why are you sitting at that table if you don't have the fortitude or the want to ask questions and figure out there's a room full of Montanans sitting here arguing for or against this bill? I need to ask some questions to figure out why they're here and what the reason is, and why is this bill either good or bad for Montana? So for me, I want a seat at the table so that those people that come up there and feel like they're not being heard can actually have somebody that wants to ask questions and listen to them and be a voice for them.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So I mean, what you're going to find out in the legislature is that if you're not at the table, you're probably on it. So I mean, that's a really, really good. That's a great answer. Look, and the reason I think it's an important question is again, I've been around this long enough. Like, I've seen legislators who do it because they want the power.
I don't think it's
and that's a scary thing for me.
Well, and I see that when I see a legislator go from House to Senate, back down to House.
Yeah.
Why are you there going back and forth and continuing to stay in the legislature if it's not for yourself?
Yeah.
I'm running a campaign on being a citizen legislator. You know what? I run a business here. I deal with citizens in my jurisdiction all the time, and I say jurisdiction because I deal with
you're speaking my language. I got it.
You know, those people have a voice and they want it heard. And if you're only going to give them 30 seconds or 1 minute at the table,
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, what one thing you will one thing you will learn is that, I mean, the legislature is so fast and so furious, and there's so many deadlines, and it gets to be there's gotten to be so many bills that sometimes, unfortunately, there's so many bills in the hopper, and they have to have had a bill hearing by X date, and unfortunately, that means sometimes you got to limit test. I don't like it.
So,
And a lot of that has to do with the committee chair. I mean, frankly, a lot of it's got to do with scheduling. Some of them are better at it than others.
so, and I get that. So then, if we're going to be running 2,000 bills per session, why do we only have one session every 2 years?
I mean, you are asking a question that has been asked for 30 years.
It just seems to me, common sense says if we're running so many bills, you want the people that are listening and voting on those bills to have time to figure out whether those bills are good for Montana, bad for Montana. Do we need this bill?
Well, it's an interesting point, right? And honestly, I can argue both sides of it, right? Because like from a founder's standpoint, I kind of like the fact that it's only every other year, that the legislature's only in for 90 business days, and then they can't be there to screw something up. Okay, now that's kind of the purist. But on the other side of that,
you have the people that say, legislatures should meet once every 10 years.
yeah,
That way they stay out of everybody's business and
yeah.
they can't mess anything up.
I mean, again, as a law enforcement guy, like that doesn't work because things change, and I mean,
Right.
just in the drug world, we've had to move pretty quickly. But the other side, I think to your point, is look, we're not Mayberry anymore.
No.
It's not 1889 anymore. The state. I mean, we're running about a $15 billion budget, all in, for the biennium. You're dealing with roughly, I used to say, especially in the House, 35 to 45% brand new freshman legislators who don't know where the bathrooms in the Capitol are, let alone how to balance House Bill 2 in a state budget for 2 years. That's $15 billion. How do you do that in 90 business days? And we do every session.
And that's the only thing that's required,
Right.
actually. Is
Correct.
House Bill 2.
That's right.
So why do we leave that to the last week when everybody's tired and ornery and mad because their bill didn't pass?
Yeah.
And just makes more sense to me if we could figure out a way to, and I'm not, I guess, limit government, limit how many bills, because if you're a legislator and you're hearing 2,000 bills or 1,600 or wherever we ran this last session, you don't know.
You're not going to hear them all.
You're not going to hear them all.
No, impossible. Literally not enough hours in the day.
So how do you responsibly vote on a bill?
Well, what you end up doing is two things, and I mean, and this is one of the unfortunate side effects of our term limits in this state. You end up having to trust lobbyists, and people cringe at that, right?
Yep.
But I mean, you figure out who you can trust, and they're going to grab you in the hallway, and it's going to be like, hey, I'm on my way to a committee meeting. After this, I got to present 2 bills this afternoon. I got to be in House Business and Labor. Then I got to go to the Senate side. I got to be in the Senate Judiciary Committee for another bill. You got 2 minutes as I'm going down the hallway. Tell me about your bill.
Right.
And that's just that's a reality of the Montana legislature. The good thing about it is the lobbyist core in Montana is very small. And I mean, if somebody lies, boy, they're out of a job real fast because that spreads like wildfire through that building. So, I mean, it really behooves the good experienced lobbyists know that they can't mislead you because you'll never trust them again.
Right. Because you tell me one,
Right.
fool me once.
And I mean, I can tell you that spreads through that Capitol like wildfire. So if someone gets a bad reputation. So, but I mean, the other thing that happens is you're either going to rely on the lobbyists or you're going to rely on the agencies. The governor's agencies, my agencies, Jim Brown's agencies. I mean, whoever, right? Like those people don't have term limits.
Right.
Somebody at MVD that works for me has been there for 20 years. They've seen a lot of this stuff.
Well, I deal with Jim's building a lot.
I bet you do.
And I find that if you start at the beginning of the year, this year, before session, and start having those conversations that need to be had long before you get to the session, then most of that stuff can get ironed out ahead of
You
time.
are learning. You legislate before the session starts. No, I mean that 100%. You're correct. I mean my team right now, we're 6 months out from the 27 Montana legislature. We're already kind of putting together our agenda. Now it's not much. I'll tell you. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of money. I think it's going to be a very contentious session, and we're being very lean and mean, but it absolutely behooves any legislator, any person wanting to bring legislation. You got to get it moving early.
Right. And you have to get all the parties involved ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'm finding out that you can invite them and invite them and invite them, but if they don't show up at the table, then they show up at the committee room.
Absolutely.
And if I can't say in the committee room, we had a meeting in July, August, and September. We invited you, and you didn't show up. And now you're in the committee room opposing this bill. You had a chance to be at the table to discuss this. But what do you think the biggest issues we're going to be facing? I know taxes is a big thing, but other than taxes, what's going to be in the legislature this session?
This is interesting. I think we're going to get back to like it was when I first started in the legislature back in 2011, 2013. We didn't have these giant budget surpluses, and right, like everyone thinks a giant budget surplus is a good thing, and generally you'd be thinking correctly. But what that does, boy, it brings the pigs to the trough. During the legislature, when there's money, when there's extra money laying around, you can bet everyone's going to show up with 10 different great ideas on how to spend it.
What can we spend this money on?
Absolutely.
We've got all this money, we need to spend it on something.
I kind of think this session is going to be a little leaner. I mean, I know revenues are looking like they're coming in, but it's all based on an estimate. I don't think we're going to have the big money surplus session. And I'll tell you, that can be a good thing, because you got to pay to educate, medicate, and incarcerate. Those are the three big things.
Yep.
And we got to fund basic functions of state government, and if there's not a big pile of surplus, there's not a lot of extra programs we can talk about, which might not be a bad thing.
I agree. Let's talk about the judiciary a little bit. Because I've found for the last three sessions, the judiciary and the legislature, they're just butting heads.
Yeah.
I've run a couple of bills that have caused some waves up there, but there's 207 courts in Montana, and every one of those courts runs something differently, runs their courts differently. How do we start getting our judiciary to a point where if I get arrested in Cascade County or I get arrested in Gallatin County, I'm going to go through the court system the exact same way?
Well, I think there's a couple things there. I mean, first of all, I do think Chief Justice Swanson is already having an effect. I won't call him Corey. That's disrespectful. Sorry, Corey. You're not Corey. You're Chief Justice Swanson. I've known him for years, but a lot of it was just inertia. A lot of it was just, well, this is the way we've always done it. But I mean, at the end of the day, the Chief Justice really has a tremendous amount of power over the judicial branch. He's able to implement some of that stuff at the Supreme Court level, which then he can trickle down to the district courts. I think that's going to be part of it. I will say, I think there is absolutely a legislative role to play there. The legislature writes the laws. The legislature appropriates the budget to the judiciary. In my opinion, the legislature has been scared of the judicial branch's shadow.
So I heard a legislator last session say, do not write the intent of your law into the bill. Let the judiciary figure out what the intent is.
That seems like a really bad idea.
So when I write a bill, or when I'm talking to people and we're figuring out how to write a bill, I always tell them, write the intent into this bill so that there's no question when it's read what our intent was and what it means.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that's right, because I mean, if the court's doing its job if the intent is not clear in the statute, right? Your bill hopefully becomes a statute, right? Becomes a law. If it's not written in it, they're going to go back and they're going to listen to the committees. They're going to read the minutes of the floor debate and of the committee debate, and they're going to interpret what your intent was from that. Not necessarily your intent, but the committee's intent, the floor's intent. So I mean, I'm a big proponent of short bills, one or two page bills that are really simple.
I'm a big proponent of cleanup bills. Yeah. Fix the language. I've talked to, I don't know how many attorneys I've argued with about the difference between the interpretation of one word or how it was interpreted. And I'm looking at a bill or a statute going, I'm reading this in plain English. I'm not understanding how you're interpreting this other than how it's written. Give you an example because I'm a bondsman. 496510, and a bondsman can arrest anybody up to 90 days before, or up to anytime before, or up to 90 days after a forfeiture. Up to or 90 days after a forfeiture.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Supreme Court says that's not what that means. That means that you have to talk to a judge, get a warrant, and then you can go out and arrest them.
We've got some real special members on our state Supreme Court right now. I have taken a lot of flack for the last couple of years of being very critical of the Montana Supreme Court. Call a spade a spade. Fine, I'm critical of them. You've got a couple justices on the Montana Supreme Court who have done tremendous damage to just the criminal procedure world in Montana. And I'm not talking like, they're changing the theft statutes or the assault statutes. No, I'm talking like, okay, what happens when you arrest someone? How does that process go, that procedure leading up to trial? Time served. Okay, there's an easy one. The concept of time served. You get arrested for a crime, you're going to get put in jail. You sit in jail for, whatever, 30 days prior to your trial. You go to trial, let's say you get sentenced. Whatever your sentence is, if it's a year, 2 years, whatever, you're going to get credit for your time served. The time you sat in the county jail waiting for your trial. So if you sat for 30 days, you're going to get that 30 days credited towards your sentence. This is not a difficult concept. The Montana Supreme Court has made it difficult. They have completely screwed up the concept of time served based upon a very, very liberal reading of a couple statutes that don't justify what they've done. And we're still, we're going to have to come in and try to clean this up because they've made such a mess. Because it's now to the point where we're asking ourselves, well, wait a second. Defendant A committed a crime here in Lewis and Clark County, right? While he's been arrested and sitting in jail in Lewis and Clark County for felony A, we then find out, oh, shoot, he's got felony B he committed over here in Yellowstone County. Two separate crimes. Never historically have you counted time served for crime A towards your sentence on crime B. According to our Supreme Court, you have to now. According to our Supreme Court, we now have to count any time you spent in tribal jail. This is bananas. It is absolute nonsense. And this is what happens when you elect judges who have no experience, who are making rulings from an emotional, idealistic standpoint and not from a practical standpoint. Sorry, that's my soapbox. We've got some radicals on the Montana Supreme Court.
So, criminal procedure. If you get arrested in Cascade County on a felony, you don't go before the Justice of the Peace anymore. You go straight to district court.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
So district court does a initial appearance.
Only for felonies?
As far as I know, only for felonies.
That would make sense.
So you go to district court, which I understand that you can file in district courts, go straight to district court. Then it goes back down to justice court, where then it's assigned a case number. Judge signs off on it, and then you go back up for arraignment in district court, and then your case proceeds. only reason I know this is because I bond people out for a living, and somebody called me, mom called me and said, Junior's been arrested. He has $100,000 bond. And I said, okay, what judge is it with and what's the case number? Well, he hasn't seen a judge yet. Then he doesn't have a bond. If he got arrested on a felony, he has to go in front of a judge,
Yeah.
and a judge has to set that bond. And it got to the point where I was like, let me just, I'm going to call the jail and figure out what's going on. I called the jail and I said, what's going on? What judge is he in, or what court is he in? What judge is, he hasn't seen the judge yet. Well, how did he get $100,000 bond? Well, our judges, our district court said it, and the officer said it, and he's going straight to district court. Every other court in the state, I can tell you how it works.
Yeah.
You go to justice court, you have an initial appearance, you have a chance to present an evidentiary hearing, omnibus, and then you go up and you do an arraignment.
So here's my answer. You have an expertise that literally nobody else in the legislature is going to have. And that's the problem, right? Like, this is something that the legislature can fix and probably should fix. But you're going to get 140 other legislators who, when the Montana Judges Association comes in and says, no, leave us alone, we're sovereign, we're separate, they're all going to go, ooh, okay, and they're going to vote no. That's just a fact. I don't like it, but that's been my experience with the Montana legislature. There's a lot of caution. There's a lot of well, especially when it comes to the judiciary. I mean, man, when the trial lawyers come in, when the state bar association comes in, when the Montana Judges Association comes in, which, walk me through that one. How do the judges have a lobbyist? Aren't they the ones that are supposed to be unbiased and judge statutes when they come to them? I mean, this was a whole thing that got me in a little bit of hot water a few years ago. But
all right, well, let's get off the judiciary. You served in the legislature. What's your advice to freshman legislators?
Learn, listen, learn. My experience. So my freshman session, I barely spoke. I came in on the Tea Party wave. There were 68 Republicans in the House. That was a high water mark, I think, still ever. And it was kind of pandemonium. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of very opinionated people. There's a lot of people with big egos. You're going to learn that in the legislature. Everybody's the next governor, the next U.S. senator, and they can't wait to grab the microphone and stand up and get their clip on X or Instagram or whatever. My advice to freshman legislators is always the same. Learn the process. I say keep your mouth shut, pay attention, listen, learn the committee process, learn the House Bill 2 process, learn the House rules. He who rules, rules. Okay? The internal operating manual of the House is a whole set of rules. And again, this is a function of term limits. You have very few legislators who actually know the House rules and are able to navigate them. And that can be powerful. So I tell freshman legislators, keep your powder dry, ask questions, talk to people like me, right? Like, I'm the only member of the state executive who's been in the legislature. I love the legislature. I speak legislature. I'm always willing to help any legislator if they have questions, if they want advice, if they want to know about my agency, whatever. Ask questions, learn the rules, observe. Keep your powder dry. That's the biggest thing.
Candidates?
Knock doors. So I was also the head of the Republican Legislative Campaign Committee in the state for 3 cycles. Talk is cheap. The number of Republican candidates who've told me over the years, oh yeah, no, I have a plan. I'm going to knock doors. I'm gonna fundraise. I'm gonna, and then they don't. And you know what happens? The LCC writes you off. You don't get any help because you're not doing the work.
Right.
But if you're actually out, if we can call you up and we say, John, how many doors you knocked this week? And you can go, hey, you know what? I'm putting in a couple hours a day. I knocked, X yesterday, day before. We go, okay. That's somebody who's actually doing the job. And look, it's still Montana. You want to get elected, you got to wear out shoe leather. It works. Work your district. Go knock on doors. That's how you get elected to the legislature in Montana.
Perfect. Now, I've asked you all the questions, and I told you you were going to ask me. Any other questions?
No, I mean, I would counsel you and any other candidate. I'm a resource to any of you. I mean, I'm only the Department of Justice, but we're one of the bigger agencies in the state. And if we can help out, whether it's about our agency or whether it's just about the process. Um,
I think I have a couple things on your desk.
okay, excellent. Yeah, happy to visit.
But yeah, nope. Jim called me or Dave called me, and so we're gonna sit down and
Good.
start talking about some of the.
Session goes fast. That's the other thing I'll tell you. I mean, you won't believe how fast it goes.
Don't wait till transmittal before
Absolutely.
you get your bill in
Well,
there.
and that's what happens to those committee hearings you were talking about being frustrated. Is that I mean, people wait. They don't drop their bills in early enough. They think they have all this time, and you don't.
If it's not there on day one,
You better be ready within the first couple of weeks to have that thing in the hopper, have it scheduled for a committee hearing, have your proponents or opponents, whatever the case is, lined up. Man, if you think you're going to wait till the middle of session and get things going, it ain't happening.
so I've also had conversations with people, or we actually took a class, and they said, "Listen, freshman legislators go in, guns loaded, think they're going to get everything done, and then it is a hard and rude awakening when you get
Very
there,
true.
and all of a sudden, all the wind
Yeah.
comes out of your sails."
No, look, I've seen very aggressive freshman Republican legislators, very conservative, get frustrated and quit after one session, and that's awful. Like that hurts because very often they'll turn that seat over to a not someone as conservative, I guess I'll say. Seen that several times, but yeah, I mean, you have to temper your expectations. You're not going to come in and change the world your first session. If you're lucky,
Perfect.
you might get to be part of one or two really cool things. And every session, there's always one or two really big ticket issues. You know, every session's a little different, but if you're lucky, you'll get to be part of something cool and something fun. Um, but I mean, temper your expectations. Don't take your ball and go home.
What's your favorite thing you've seen at the fair so far?
I mean, corn dogs. We haven't been here that long. We walked through the sale barn. I mean, I'm a farm and ranch kid, so we walked through the cattle barn. I'm an old
We were just talking. I just
livestock
talked
guy.
to somebody about the 4-H auction. I love the indoor auction, sporting those kids.
Yeah.
The outdoor auction, I used to love that, but
It was hot today.
It gets hot and I can't compete with some of those big banks that come in and start bidding.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's good for the kids. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to do it. That's how I used to pay for school, and it's a good thing. But yeah, no, we honestly we came to eat garbage fair food today, so that's why we're here.
There is a booth out here that has brisket melt and a crab sandwich.
Ooh.
The crab sandwich, find a place to sit down because it's a little messy, but it is on point.
Are those Montana crabs?
Ah.
Seafood in Montana always makes me a little dodgy.
It's good. I'll give them a 100%
Okay.
endorsement. If you like seafood, that crab sandwich is on point.
Not my jam, but hey, to each his own.
Thank you, Austin. I
You bet.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me. It was fun.
We're at the LC4 booth and the Red Quill Media booth. And if you'd like to stop by and have a candidate conversation, sit down and talk with the candidate, you are more than welcome. We have about 20 minutes before we're going to give away that cooler. So if you haven't come down and registered for the cooler, it's free. It's a $500 cooler.